Welcome back. This is day 2. We're continuing this answer document that says for the week of April 6th through April 9th. We are now on day 2, and we are going to have a video that you're going to click right here. And again, this link is not currently here because I am making the video as we speak. We're going to do another brief warm-up to make sure that you know what's going on. You can type in your answers on Desmos or a clean sheet of paper or a scratch sheet of paper just to kind of follow along. And then we will put our answers on the worksheet. Today's lesson is called Exponential Regression Equations. However, before we get there, I would like to take a moment to do a spot check. Scroll back up to your 11 and 12 and see if you have the same answers I do. Did you get number 11 as D and number 12 as C? Please check those answers, and if you got those correct, good job. If you missed those, you might want to look back at your work to see what you are doing to make sure that you're doing these next ones correct. All right, so here we are. We're starting off with, I did change it up today. I did go out to the front yard, and then I saw this meme I thought was funny. You got math problems? Let me put on my thinking cap. Bah-ha-ha. All right, so another example of exponential growth is going to be bacteria. You start off with a 1, and it's going to reproduce. All right, this is not on your worksheet. So again, you can do this on a scratch sheet, or you could just use these answer choices provided. Radioactive materials can be described using half-lives. For every half-life that passes, the amount of radioactive material decreases by 50%. If you begin with 40 grams of material, which function can you use to find Y? The amount of the substance that remains after T half-lives. So again, we're going to go ahead and pause the video, see if you can find your answer, and you can either put it on your fingers, remember like we do in class, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or you can even write down A, B, C, or D if you have some paper handy. Pause your video and find your answer. When you're ready, hit play again. All right, welcome back. If we start off with 40, all of these have the 40 in the beginning place. Then we have 50%. 50%, we're going to go womp, womp, and then we're going to do 1 plus or minus that 0.5. If we are decreasing, it's going to be minus. So 1 minus 50% is going to be 0.50. And some of you might not have even needed to work that out, and that would be fantastic if you could figure that out. I just wanted to make sure everyone was following. That was what happened when we had our percent sign. We had to do Dr. Pepper, and we had to do 1 plus or minus our R value. So we're looking for 0.5. That's not a 0.5. That one has a 0.5, but that's adding. That's going to be growth. We don't want growth. That's going to be growth. We don't want growth. So this one is going to be decay. So it is answer D. All right, here's another one. The table gives the coordinates of, oh, that is not how you spell 4. It's kind of funny though. 4 points on the graph of an exponential function. What is the function? So if you know a little bit about graphing, this is going to help you. And then you can, some of you can understand what you're multiplying by every time. That might also help. Remember that your A value is where you start. That's your y-intercept. And then your B value is your multiplier to the x power. So if you understand what you're multiplying by each time, you might not need to type all of these in. Some of you are going to want to type all these in, and that is also okay. So I'm going to show you guys Desmos. And again, you can open up a new tab. I have on your cover page for day 2 the link that you can tap on. And so I am typing in y, ooh, that said f of x. So let's go f of x equals, and it said 3x to the 4th power. Okay, so if I change that to a table, does that match what we see on the other table? Oh, That's not what I want. Does that match what we see here, where we're looking at 3, 12, 48, 192? Definitely not. That didn't match. So it's not going to be A. All right? Please type in the other ones, the other examples, and see which ones match. Try that on your own. Pause your video, and then whenever you're ready, you have an answer, hit play again and see if you are correct. All right, welcome back. The correct answer is B. I figured out B without my Desmos because 3 is where I start, right here. And then I'm multiplying by 4 every time I go to a new number, and that's in my multiply spot. Now, just to show you guys that I'm not making things up, you can also check it. And I'm just going to change this first function that I typed in. So it says 3 times 4 to the x power. And then here, right here is where we start to see the numbers in our table. We had a 3, we had a 12, we have 3, 12, 48, and then 192 in the table that was given. So today's lesson is, this time we don't have multiple choice, and we have a table, and we want to ask Desmos to come up with our equation for us. And on your cover page, keep doing that, excuse me. I'm learning this too, trying to make this as easy for you guys as I can. On your cover page for day 2, I'm reminding you why one worm. That's how we ask the question for Desmos to do that for us. Here's your link if you need a Desmos. And I did have somebody take me up on that extra credit. More people can do this if you would like. This is extra, where you actually put a worm on the graph that I provided or make your own. So we're going to be using this formula today as we type in our functions. As we type in our tables, we're going to ask it how to do that. So we are going to start off with number 8. So scroll down until you find number 8 on the worksheet so that you can have the numbers in front of you. And we're going to type these in. If you change screens and you can't see them, you can put one window next to another, or you can just type it in with me or type it in after and make sure that you can do the same thing. So we're going to start off with a table. So the way that we ask Desmos to do a table is we add a table. And please notice at the top it says y1 and x1. X1 and then y1. So we're going to type in number 8. Starts off with 0, 1, 2, 3. And it's going to number for us automatically since we're going in order and it found our pattern. All right, now this part's kind of sketchy. Again, we're doing the best that we can with our new normal. So if your numbers look slightly different than mine, but they're close, I understand that you probably made a mistake in reading it, or maybe I made a mistake in reading it, and we're going to be patient with each other, so our answers might not be exact if we cannot see the question clearly. So again, just do the best that you can with what we have. So I'm typing in the points that I'm seeing on my table. And you can put a window right next to another window if you move that tab and kind of minimize those, change the size of the screen so that you can have one screen right next to the other so that you can do your Desmos and see your worksheet at the same time. So these are the points that we have. Why don't I see those dots on my grid? Because they're way up on the y-axis where we see 380 all the way up to 460. I'm going to squash my axis by putting both fingers on that y-axis and smooshing, and then bring them out together. So this one kind of looks like it might be a line, but it is going to be exponential. We are going to see that curve start to happen. And we also know that it's going to be exponential because the question that we have says exponential regression. So that means that we're going to write y equals ab to the x power, but we're going to talk to our table. So that means when we go look at the y's, we're going to go look at y1, when we go look at x, we're going to go look at x1. And because it might not be perfect, we want to get it as close as we can. We're not going to use an equal sign. We're going to use that similar symbol. So it's our y1 worm. So when you get back on your Desmos screen, you're going to type in y1 worm. And this part should be familiar to you. But now this part is the new part for today. A, B, and then we have to go back to the x power, and we want x1. And as you add those, I'm going to shrink it so you can start to see that curve a little bit better. And then I'm going to zoom back in so that we can see it. It's going through all those dots beautifully. There we go. So what we're going to do is we are now going to copy down our answers. And we have 379.92 for our value for our A. And the directions say to round to 2 decimal places. So what we're going to do now, let me see if I can do this. Yes. Is we are going to go to our answer document, our assignment that you have open. And you are going to click and you're going to change this A value to, I said 379.92. And then the B value, I didn't pay attention to what that was, but we're going to highlight that B value. And we're going to go back to Desmos. And the B value down here says next to B equals 1.04. So now when we get on our answer document, we're going to zoom in, and on question number 8, we're going to type in 1.04 in that spot. And that's how we do our equation. And I went ahead and put the x as an exponent for you. Then the next question it says is using this equation, find the value of her stock to the nearest dollar, 10 years after her initial purchase. So we're looking for years. Is years going to be the X column or the Y column? X is going to be right here, years. So if I wanted to put 10 in this column, we want to know what the answer would be next to that. So if we go back to Desmos, we can't actually type a 10 in here and have it give us an answer. Okay, so what we can do is we can tell it, in the X column, I want there to equal a 10. And remember, it puts those two things together, so now we can tap where they cross. And where X is 10, Y is going to be, and it says, we're talking about money, right? So we're going to go up 2 decimal places, $562.37. So we're going to go back to our screen here, and on question number 8 we can type in, dollar signs come first, oh my goodness, I forgot, what was it, 562.37, 562.37. Right. So we have 562.37, and then we have that amount and we put it in our worksheet for our answer. So we're kind of bouncing all over the place. Hopefully you guys just bounce between those two. I'm doing a couple different things, so it's making it a little bit harder on me. But we're going to try to get through this and figure out an easier way to go.